All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the September 20th regular meeting of the North Augusta Planning Commission. We thank you all for joining us. All right. So we will now call the meeting to order. Okay, if I can have roll call, please.
Rhett Harbison. Bob Bigger.
Jesse Elliott.
Lynn Carter.
And I'm your chair, Christine Crawford. The next order of business would be the approval of minutes from June 21st, 2023. And wanted to note that we are missing, my absence. I think it was Commissioner Waddell's absence as well. So want to note just me. Okay, I'm sorry. So clearly just my absence was not noted. So need to revise the minutes to reflect that. So were there any other changes? All right. That being said, can we get an approval for the minutes with the correction as noted, which is my absence only? Let me clarify that.
So moved with changes.
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All right. Thank you. Mr. Paradise, would you confirm the agenda and any?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
For me? Oh, I'm sorry. The first application tonight is for, it's been a while, I'm out of practice too. That's my excuse.
We all are.
First application is from CSRA Development Company to rezone 9.84 acres located along East Buena Vista. This is right next to the apartment complex there. It's currently zoned R10, medium lot, single family. They would like to rezone it to R7, small lot. That would allow for townhome type developments. You can see where this sits in there next to the apartment complex and down the road from the bluegrass development. And the different, how it sits in there. This gives you an idea of some of the construction that they will be doing in there. And this is the general layout. And all you're doing tonight is making a recommendation on the zoning change. But in this particular instance, this is what they have an idea to develop there. There is nothing that will be binding on them to develop it like this, even if it is rezoned to R7. All you're doing is the rezoning. But this is basically what they are looking at doing there, is their plan. They will need a variance from the Board of Zoning Appeals for some lot widths, as is typical for the R7 and townhome construction. And do you have any questions for me?
No, are there any other questions for Commissioners for Ms. Paradise? All right, so what we'll do is I'll go over so this one is a public hearing. So what we'll do is hear from the applicant, allow commissioners to ask any questions that they may have at that time, and then we will open it up to the public for any comments or questions. We do those all at one time and then allow the applicant an opportunity to come up and respond. We ask that everyone that comes to the microphone, please give your name and address. Again, please give your name and address. And given that sometimes we have folks of varying heights, you may need to lean in a little bit more than others or adjust to make sure that everyone in Facebook Live land can also hear you. All right. That being said, if the applicant could please come forward.
Keith Lawrence, 211 Dixon Court, Evans, Georgia, 30809. First, thank you all for the opportunity to come before you guys. Tell you a little bit about it. We've been working on this for about a year and a half. One of the main obstacles was the connection to Elm Street. We now have that parcel under contract, so the connection to Elm Street can be made on that side. That was a big sticking point. We had a couple other options, but that's really the logical connection on there was Elm Street. But we've been working with the landowner. It is under contract. That is the way we'll be making that connection, should the zoning be approved on that side. It's 69 lots on 9.84 acres. Great location. Obviously, we're going to take advantage of the bluff, overlooking there. That's part of the amenity area at the back. It looks like parking spaces, but it's not. It's supposed to be concrete joints. But what we were going to do down there is basically have pavilion. We'd like to cornhole boards, probably a fire pit that overlooks that area. We do not intend to take any trees down off the slope. I think the only thing that may be coming down will be how we need to address the stormwater. It may be piped all the way down just because of the severe slope on that side. We've got a community garden in there. I think the proximity to the greenway it's just across Riverside is going to be an excellent connection on that side as well. Coming through there, parcel's been vacant for obviously forever, but it's a kind of an funny shaped parcel. It's long and skinny. That was one of the challenges. It doesn't fit for a typical single family lot because the lots wouldn't be deep enough on that side. You've got about 110 to 115 feet of width when you put a road in the middle of it. So it really doesn't have that. We've got the apartments obviously on what is the east side, and then we've got I think it's assisted living on the corner. Is that correct? Okay. On there, and I think Tommy, can you flip to the zoning map? I'm sorry. The zoning map really shows it. We would be the same or less dense than all the surrounding properties with the exception of the 4 houses on Elm Street. When you look at the map on there, they're kind of the outlier, to be honest with you, on the zoning on that side. We provide a step down in transition from the apartments that are above us on the east side of the road on there. We've got the townhomes themselves. I think this is always a touchy subject on townhomes in general. These will be $280,000 and above. These are 3-bedroom townhomes. They've got a single car garage. I provided some pictures. I think you guys have probably seen them. Nice finishes. These are not what you typically see, the 2-bedroom, 2-bath type townhomes. These are nice townhomes in there. Make a nice community. All the yards will be fenced. I forgot to put that in the narrative, but we are gonna stain all the fences with the Spanish moss, Cabot Spanish moss, which is the color of a pine tree's trunk. So it's a very blending color. Not going to be any kind of, so it really kind of blends in, provides a nice buffer on that side. All the slopes that we disturb will be reforested. We've had very good success with that. And what it is we go back and put pine seedlings in during the wintertime. And there's a picture in there that shows one that's about 4 years old, and they're already about 8, 9 feet tall. Provides a great way. We kind of consider it closing in the development scar that's resulting as a result of the grading on that side. So we got the connection on that side, existing water and sewer. Sewer's on Buena Vista, so is the water. We're making a connection on there. And then we definitely will be doing the traffic study and submit that to you on that side. But I can tell you, I know Tommy was talking about that on the zoning. I really wish you could pin down the concept plan because we intend to build, what we're showing in there. I know that's the big contention with a lot of the zoning that you guys have. I would encourage you guys maybe to see if there's a way to tweak that ordinance to allow the concept plan to be part of the zoning, because I think it would make the trust factor a lot higher on there, because that's exactly what we plan on building. 2-story townhomes, nice elevations. I think it'll be very complimentary. I think it's going to be a great product. I think it'll bring a lot of young buyers in there to take advantage of how close it is to the downtown area on that side. Let me just double check my notes. I think that's it. And I'm sorry, there's 41% is total green space and buffers when you add it all up together on that side. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right. Commissioners, are there any questions for Mr. Lawrence at this time?
It does. It is. It's got slope from side to side, front to back. It is a unique site, to say the least. Mac, our construction manager, was going to have fun making sure we protect everything on that side, for sure.
Looking at the aerial map there, it looks like there's some sort of running from the west. Is there a power line or some sort of easement that runs through the center of the property? Is that
Sure is.
issue? What is that What is it that's coming through? Is it
Power.
electrical? Okay.
Yeah, it's power that cuts through there. We'll take advantage of that. We may do some community gardens under there as well, under that side. So we like the community gardens because I think, with townhomes, you generally have less space, but we give a community area that they can still do some gardening. I'm a gardener myself, so I like that side. But
And again, not being familiar, I didn't drive by Elm Street. You talk about accessing the greenway. Is there sidewalks along Elm and down to Riverside, or how do they?
there are not
okay.
sidewalks down Elm. They would go down our road, down the sidewalks in our neighborhood, and then hit East Buena Vista. We'll be putting a sidewalk on that side to get them to the intersection.
And I'll just say that I appreciated seeing the level of detail and
Yes, ma'am.
the photographs of the home. So
Yeah.
that definitely helped.
Well, and I know what, we do a lot of work in Columbia County and Aiken County as well, and I think that you see a lot of the 2-bedroom, 2-bath townhomes, and, they're just not as attractive, generally speaking. They provide housing for people that want them, but we like to build something that's gonna be nicer. It's gonna, like I said, to afford a $280,000 plus, it's a buyer that's well-established and good for the community. Interest rates make it even challenging, more
I was
challenging.
gonna
But
say,
we all know
yeah,
that's not just
right.
us, for sure.
I compliment your efforts on the mass grading side as far as the aftermath of,
Thank you.
after that effect, and coming up with a design is something that'll.
Well, it really does. I really, it's actually technically in most of the erosion control manuals to do it, but nobody ever does it. We've done it on all ours, and I tell you, it makes a huge difference because when we're in there, it all looks graded, but, like in Austin Heights, we've done the same thing, and over time, they close it back up and kind of make it more blend a little bit better into the whole community as well. Thank you.
Any other questions for Mr. Lawrence? Mr. Lawrence, we're going to open it up for public hearing.
Thank you.
Don't know that we're going to have any, but.
You stay there. He's with me. He
Okay.
can't talk. I'm just kidding.
All right. So now opening this up to for RZM 23-001, Hawks Vista. Are there any members from the public who would like to comment? Okay. Then we will end the public hearing at this point, given that there are no members who would like to say anything. All right, commissioners, if we could, are there any other questions for Mr. Paradise, or are you all ready to discuss? Okay. Or take a motion, whichever. Does anyone have any other thoughts or things that you would like to discuss? If not, would entertain a motion.
I've not done this
Okay.
exactly before. And I know Mr. Tim normally doesn't. He's not here, and he does it so well. But yeah, I'll make a motion to approve. I guess to recommend to hand it on to. Yes, recommendation to City Council for RZM 23-001 Hawks Vista, rezoning a request by CSRA Development Company to rezone 9.84 acres located along East Buena Vista Avenue, TPN 007-15-03-002 from R10 medium lot single family residential to R7 small lot single family residential.
So we have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Thank you. All right. Next on the agenda is annexation 23-001, 244 and 246 Claremont Drive. Mr. Paradise, is there anything you'd like to share with us at this point?
Yes, ma'am. This is 2 parcels, and they total 27.4 acres. They are located at the end of Claremont, and it backs up to Rushing Waters. Rushing Waters is zone R5, and this gives you the site where it's located. Well, I thought we better aerial in there. Where it's located, they're requesting R7 zoning. The water and sewer are there. That is the primary driver for the request for annexation, I believe. One of the things that you may consider is, let me see if I can get this pointer to work, Madam Chairman. Is it showing up for y'all? All right. This right here, there's not a connection here. You see this grading here, and then you have end of Claremont, you have the two parcels, and this is the existing city limits where it's contiguous. There's no roadway connection there. To service these parcels for garbage, police, and fire is going to require public safety or the sanitation to go around through Belvedere to get through to these parcels. But as far as the land use, we always suggest the R7 instead of the R5 if somebody wants to do attached housing, and I'm not sure if that's the plan on this or not. Mr. Steed's here for the applicant and can give you some better information there.
All right, any other questions? I have one for you, Ms. Paradise.
Yes, ma'am.
So with the lack of connectivity and having to go through Belvedere, then putting roads in, would that be on the developer, on us? How would that process? Because then at that point, it becomes our liability if we've got to go around to get into.
That's correct. At present, I don't know of any plans of connectivity with the Rushing Water subdivision. We've seen no plans for this side of Pole Branch to be developed. So we don't know if they would have a connectivity here or not. But yes, it's on the developer to put the roadway construction in and the infrastructure in the subdivision, and he'll run it out and connect to the utilities. But as far as new roadways to make a connection with a city, to do that would require an agreement with another property owner. That's not a party to the application.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Ms. Paradise?
Is it a big deal for them to have to go through Belvedere? Because I know North Augusta is on both sides of Belvedere, and I see that's public safety, especially at least going, to get to exit 5 down. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going through Belvedere is not really out of the way.
I don't have a comment from Chief Thomas to answer you.
I think that, but it's a fairly large parcel, so I think it depends on layout and where it's connected, I think would be the answer to that question. Or maybe, I don't know. So, okay. If there are no other questions? Okay. All right. We'll hear from the applicant. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
See,
I'm sorry. I have no knees tonight, and I am not
no.
feeling it. So
Well,
bear with me. Mr. Bigger can, I think, vouch for me, though, that I'm not crazy. I'm just hurting a little
Well,
bit.
so let me say this. So if you'd like to have a seat and we can bring you the microphone, you can do it sitting.
No, it's fine. My name's Bob Steed, 2226 Wood Bluff Way, Augusta, Georgia, 30909. I am not the developer. I'm a real estate broker. The developer is in Chattanooga and was intending to be here tonight and had some issues in Chattanooga. So here, I knew I was coming, but I didn't know I was going to be answering questions. One of the things that I've noticed on that property across the street, Rushing Waters, Horton has made road cuts from their current location down to the property below, which if they go through with that, that would to develop that land, that would provide some connectivity. But I don't know.
If they come out to Woodward Road.
Okay.
So there'd be a creek crossing, I believe,
Yeah.
Correct.
to do that.
Well, yeah, Wooten is right there.
But they could do that and not make a connection into that street.
Oh, I
So
understand.
I don't know.
Anyway, I represent a developer, like I said, out of Chattanooga. He's not a builder, okay? We will do all of the engineering, et cetera, all the site work, plan, site work, et cetera. And the builder will be, I had to sign a non-disclosure, but there are 3 different people that he's talking to that are very active builders in your market. It will be single-family homes, not townhomes. If we realize, though, if we decide to go the townhome route, that we'll have to get a, you know, an adjustment on the zoning. Do you have any questions? I mean, it's really kind of basic right now. We just are trying to acquire the land and know that we can get sewer. It's under contract, it closes in October. But if we can't get the annexation and get the sewer, there's no reason to do it. We're probably looking at 80 to 90 lots in their small homes in the 300-plus price point range. Oh, but I'm with Southeastern, by the way, in Augusta. I'm sorry.
You said 300 to 400,000?
Right. We are also trying to acquire some of the parcels around it, small parcels that are just vacant land, to kind of add a little bit of rectangle to it. The land's fairly flat, you know, it's not anything there that's creating an issue.
Are there any other questions for Mr. Steed? Then you can have a seat and get off your knees, and then if we need you to come back up, we'll call you back up.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Or bring the microphone to you. Yeah, go ahead.
I got
yeah,
a question for
Mhm.
Tommy, I guess, is the parcels that appear to be subdivided out on a cul-de-sac road to the northwest. Do you know the history on those? Those are not in the city currently. Did they apply to be in the city?
Which parcels?
The northwest, it's hard to see on that. There's a cul-de-sac that's in a subdivided lot, but they're not developed. And I was just
I don't know.
didn't know if you knew the history on those. Or
I don't, I do not know the history. I do know the city limits. The city limits runs along this side of this road. Is where, and it's contiguous right here. So continuity, contiguousness or continuity, whatever the word is easily established.
I'm just taking a little time because it's the first time I've seen the aerials. I don't think they were in my package.
Most of those properties, if you look at them, they're in various estates. Trust, we're working with another realtor here that had this property listed with those people individually. Some of them have 7 or 8 folks involved in estates. And as we are able to get any of those included, then we will just do those separately and come in for an additional, hopefully blanket annexation for those as well. But as of now, those people live in New York. I mean, they're everywhere but here, I think. So that's going to require a little work. But we're moving forward with the property I am here about, regardless of those. And it has, as you can see on that map, hopefully it has an opening. It is attached to Wooden, which is the street, not just Clearmont. Clearmont is actually barely attached to. It's actually Wooden would be the main entrance initially.
I guess one question that I have, I guess, Tommy, I know with the other subdivision over by exit 1, I know there was an issue needing that second road in the back because of distance for fire trucks, ambulance, EMT to get to. And that might be kind of the same thing you were talking about. Is that distance have to be, where is that calculated from? Since it's not, it's connected to the city limits on Wooden, but then Clearmont, which would be the entrance to get to Wooden, is not in city limits, right?
I'm not sure. I think what you're talking about is the travel distance for the fire truck.
Right.
And it doesn't matter if it, I'm not for sure which station would respond. I would think it would be headquarters. But they would measure it by road mile,
Okay.
not in city, out of city.
Okay.
What is the shortest distance for a fire truck driving on a public roadway to get there?
Okay. Right, yeah.
I'm not an engineer, but there also, since there's a Clearmont address there as well, and it's not a big attachment to Clearmont, but it is enough to make it an ingress and egress point. So there could be 2, one on Wooden and one on Clearmont.
If there were a connection from rushing waters, and this where the one developer may want to talk to another developer, but if that roadway was extended out, I think it would be a much shorter, and there was the interconnection with rushing waters to Wooden. Station 2 is right there on 5 Notch, and it would be a very short distance that way. But without that connection, it would be a distance.
I think part of it for us is a little difficult, and part of, I think, maybe what you are not here, Ms. Steve, is that normally we have a little better idea of kind of what the layout would be, a little more information to kind of picture. And so I think certainly understand the circumstances, right? Because there's a lot of air property and you all are trying to figure out the deal. But I think that is part of, if we had a little more information about layout than R7 versus anything else, you know, it's helpful to know that you all are talking about 80 to 90 lots and small houses, small homes, but I think, and the price point, but I think we're just used to seeing a little bit more. So I think that's kind of the, not to speak for anybody else, but I think that's it.
Yeah, I agree. My concern initially was the isolation and the how you get to it and going through Belvedere to get to it. I don't know that that's a big deal, but I would defer to Chief Thomas and the city staff on that opinion. I don't know that we have that. If we were connecting and we had there was a connection to rushing waters, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. But with the unknowns, I mean, that was my concern initially. And
hoping we were gonna get a little bit more.
I think the unknowns and the size, right, because it's also 30 acres, so it's not necessarily a small lot. So layout in that instance could make a difference.
And I think the R7's appropriate too.
Yeah.
Well, and to be honest, does that part affect our recommendation or not? Because that, no matter what that outcome is, that'll be something they'll have to deal with when they get to that point in the road.
So Tommy, you can, I guess, what does it look like going forward? Because if we grant R7 and there are no variances or anything, they need to come back. But I mean, I don't know that.
Well, at the present time, the only thing before you is a recommendation to annex it or not annex it at an R7. That's the issue before you, should this property be in the city or not. The development plan, we come back at a later date. We would probably need a traffic impact analysis. There's a long way to go before they could start the process of construction there. And the path forward also is that y'all make a recommendation, either to approve, deny, whatever your decision is, and then that goes to city council, and then city council will decide ultimately one way or the other.
One of the issues for us is to move forward, we're gonna have to spend a lot of money. And to not know whether or not that sewer and water will ever be available to us. We're out the purchase price, which is several $100,000, as well as the cost that we would have spent to prepare those things.
No, we understand. No, I understand why we don't. No. So let me acknowledge that. I understand why we don't. I just think that it is, it's not at least for me, not necessarily a small annexation either. So I think it's,
I understand.
yeah. But any other comments or questions?
Tommy, do we have any other plans from Rushing Waters? I mean, I know they own that land, per the county website, they own that 43 acres between, what we're looking at and where they are. And again, I know there's the water that runs through there at some land. But I've got to assume their plan is to do something with that 43 acres. Do we know?
We have not seen anything on that side of the creek. You see the stub out up there, so you would think that at some point in time, but when is that point in time? I don't know.
Because the sewer has also been run down on that lower portion as well.
And that might be where one developer needs to be talking to the other developer. But that doesn't help us tonight.
Right.
Commissioner Carter, you about to say something? You can't figure out what you want to say yet?
Trying to gather my thoughts.
Oh, okay. All right.
I guess the question I have, Tommy, is and I don't mean to sound wrong, have we ever not annexed something that for somebody that wanted to be in the city? I mean, we seem to, everything we.
It would be uncommon. It hadn't happened since I have been here. I can remember parcels from a previous employer that was not annexed because it did not fit the plan that the city had in place and that kind of thing. It was not good for the city. So it is certainly something that has never been done, not something that has never been done before. I think that's a double negative, and I shouldn't have said it like that.
I was trying to remember in my history if we'd ever done it, had ever turned one down.
Yeah.
I'm trying to place one I can't.
And we did talk about at the joint meeting, the city council, the need to, as we were getting more annexation requests and as North Augusta as a city grows, needing to have some information around some, I think, guidelines and parameters on what the ROI is for annexation. I think is what we discussed in one of the previous meetings. I don't know that we've gotten there yet, but that is something that certainly is a good problem to have, but as North Augusta grows and has become more attractive, then more people may desire that address. So that's something that I think, is maybe something we need to include in future conversations with city or with council or as part of a continuing ed or something. I think maybe it's continuing ed. How do we approach? Any other questions or discussion? Concerns or motion?
I'll make the motion in regards to item ANX 23-005 for 244 and 246 Claremont Drive. Make a motion that we approve the request for consideration of annexation to be forwarded to City Council.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? There being none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
So next on the agenda is PP 22-06, the Hive Section 2, Major Subdivision Preliminary Plat. All right. Mr. Paradise, any information you'd like to share with us about this?
Yes, ma'am. This is another phase for the Hive subdivision. Request for Stanley Martin Homes. It's 36 single-family detached lots. It's on 13.28 acres, and it's located along the I-20 side of the development. You can see the interstate and where the project area is there. And where it complies with the overall general development plan. And how the layout will be. This is, staff was recommending approval, subject to meeting all the recommendations and requirements that staff has as far as on the plats, and those be taken care of.
Any questions, Ms. Paradise? Oh.
It's in line. I really didn't look, but it's within the general development plan.
Any other questions, Mr. Paradise? All right, if the applicant will please come forward, give your name and address.
Excuse me, I'm Sean Smith with Cranston Engineering. Our office is at 452 Ellis Street, Augusta, Georgia, 30901. I just wanted to clarify one little thing. I've had some correspondence back and forth with Cully. This is actually approval for 35 lots. Lot 20, which is just to the right of Lot 19, will have to be platted at a future date when we extend Yellow Jacket Boulevard.
That's right there on. That is right at the end of the cul-de-sac there.
So everything with the exception of 19?
Right.
Right, so eventually there'll be 36. However, right now we can only plat 35.
Okay. Is Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about the application?
Oh, yeah. Also, the approval of the road names,
Oh, okay.
part of it.
Let's see. It's not, I think not on the agenda, but I know I saw it. The
Yeah,
road
it's
names.
Pedal Court, and then Yellow Jacket has already been approved under previous.
Yeah, Yellow Jacket Boulevard and Pedal Court.
Yes, ma'am.
Those are two very different names.
Not my idea.
Yellow Jacket and Pedal. Okay. I'm surprised, I know. Okay. All right. Are there any questions for the applicant? All right. All right. Thank you, Ms. Smith. You can have a seat, and we will call you back up if need be. Any conversation, discussions, or a motion? So this, and again, just a note, so this motion would need to include, so it would, I guess, well, with the conditions that are outlined, so as outlined in the application. So any outstanding comments will be addressed to the staff, including the certification of the use of the road names and conditional on approval and implementation of any traffic mitigation required by SCDOT and the city, correct? Okay, so it would be basically be a recommendation by the, so whomever's gonna make the motion, the motion would be a recommendation by the planning commission for the approval of the major subdivision preliminary plat for the Hive Section 2, given the following, the conditions as reflected in the application on page 7.
See, we can't just say that on
So
on
you
your
say
behalf.
so moved.
It's so moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Who made the motion?
Okay, so it has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. All right, Mr. Paradise, we have the staff report for June, July, and August, since we have been out for a while.
Well, we have been busy. There's about 4 subdivisions that we did final plats for. The biggest news for y'all is the George Avenue traffic calming study is just about completed, and the development code has been put back to y'all from City Council last Monday night. So unless Dr. Crawford has some objections, we'll be having that on the agenda for the next meeting, unless y'all want to do something before then. And the work, I've been working with Ms. Spencer that did our training last year, and we're looking at doing training the Wednesday. I haven't verified this with her yet, but it's looking like Wednesday, the week after Thanksgiving, is going to be the best day for us. So if she's available then, and she will also do all 3 hours of training in one sitting.
It worked great last year.
No, I thought that was very helpful.
And one of the things she'll be doing is an update on court cases through the year that we're planning, commissions, BZAs, that type of stuff were involved.
And this is completely random, but I think only because we had 3 monthly reports to look at. I just noticed that year to date, there's been quite an uptick in the temporary signs and code enforcement. And so I was just wondering, was there a particular, if you had any idea what that was due to, or if it was just a.
We 1st July, or shortly after 1st July, we brought on a second code enforcement officer. And they've been out there They have been busy.
Okay.
They are enjoying their working together.
enjoying.
And there's training going on in that as well.
No, but that also means that there's probably was some work to be done. So glad we have the additional resources for that. And as always, we appreciate all that you and your team do for the city of North Augusta and our growth. All right. There.
Tommy, back to the development code a second. Did I hear the mayor's comments correct? There was going to try to be a joint session between the council and the commission?
I did not hear that.
I think that would be a good idea.
I'm not saying that he didn't. I just don't know.
I think that was on one of the newscasts that he was, that I had saw.
Okay. I listened to the meeting. I didn't hear it in the meeting, but yeah, I don't know about outside.
We'll follow up because I have not even seen like the scope of what it is that we need to reconsider, and so and did not watch the meeting. So I'll have conversations with Tommy, and if that's a appropriate and doable, I think maybe the most efficient way. But we can see we'll figure out the most efficient way to kind of get this done.
There are two memorandums that I've prepared that went to council. That was in their agenda packet. Those will be probably the primary issues you'll be focused with. If you would like for me to get those out to y'all before next meeting, I can. Okay. I will.
Yeah, and then we can kind of, if you could get those to us, and then you and I can also discuss kind of what we think the best course forward is.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for bringing that up. All right. Anything else? There being none, motion to adjourn?
Jesse, you want to nail this one?
So moved.
All right, thank you all.
Thank
Good
you.
night.